Okay, this is calling out of the big blind, this video. So what are you trying to achieve when you're defending your big blind when you're calling? If you look at a graph, let me just get it up. This is what happens when you just fold your big blind uncontested. It's a win rate of minus 100 BB per 100, i.e. 1 BB per hand. This is against one raiser in the first two positions of 6 max under the gun / middle position. So this is an example hand where we defend 7-8 suited, and the whole point of calling out of your big blind is that it's very different compared to cold calling in position, which we covered in the previous video. In the previous video, when you're in any of these positions, you have nothing invested, so you're only calling to try and make a plus EV play. Calling out the big blind is inherently different, because if you don't play, you'll have a graph like this, and any improvement on this graph, so if you change the gradient to to minus 8,000, minus 6,000, anywhere up from here is an improvement from just folding pre. So this is the most important thing, like the fulcrum of what calling out the big blind is. So this is my net graph of when we do VPIP but we never 3-bet against one raiser in the first two positions, which is about minus 70 if I had to guess. Oh, it says minus 55 here, but this has to be incorrect surely. 900, I think the green line might be minus 50, but the EV would be a bit less. Let me just double check. Probably that many hands. Oh, minus 65, yeah. And then the green is whatever. But so yeah, that's all hands that I've called with. So that's obviously an improvement. I'm just wondering whether, because if it's minus 65, that'd probably imply that there's a lot more hands in the region of like minus 80 that we could also include, but maybe there's hands which are really plus EV, and that if we include more hands it would drag it down more, but I don't know. So just a quick mention to 3-betting against one raiser. Obviously we're going to typically be 3-betting the strongest hands we have, so we'd expect this graph to be incredibly positive. This kind of seems ridiculously positive, but maybe I ran good, or maybe I wasn't bluffing much, so I was very value heavy, but yeah, maybe like a closer, like kind of improving this graph by flattening more and decreasing the value of this graph might be good, but we'll come on to which hands you should put into which ranges in a second. So just intuitively, like, what kind of hands are going to achieve a better expectation than this kind of graph, this minus 100 BB per 100? Well, there's no easy solution. Like cold calling in position, you can tell that you want to be ahead of his range on average with the hand that you're calling, but when you're already invested, you just it kind of goes out the window, because you can be behind, but it's better than, this is worst case scenario. Well, not worst case scenario, this is a bad scenario. The hand has to be really freaking terrible for it to produce a graph where you call to go all the way down here, for example, down here, whatever. But there's no easy way to figure out which hands you should call. Only like experience and other people's data. Luckily I've played like 3 million cash hands, so I can produce pretty decent samples for these things. So I've got some graphs here. So yeah, this is only against these two positions, one raiser, no other callers, and then we're in the big blind. So this is big offsuit aces as a flat, which is about minus 50, which is obviously an improvement on minus 100. I would have thought ace 10 through to ace king off would, just to be honest, just be positive, but just the nature of being out of position and going to be facing aggression from some strong ranges seemingly really cuts into that. You know, you're going to be dominated a lot still, and yeah, you're just going to have problems. This one, I'm not sure why the title is down here, but this is big offsuit kings, obviously Broadway kings. These seem to perform better. Honestly, I don't know why. Like, this is a better sample, so it's got a bit better shape, so it's definitely meant to be negative, it would appear, but this one's got a smaller sample, but I think you can tell it's going to be kind of break even, or maybe slightly positive, maybe. But yeah, easily better than minus 100 BB 100. Then we'll start to see a trend here. So I didn't include Queen Jack off, Queen 10 off, and Jack 10 off because the samples were so small, and they were also like performing incredibly bad, like minus 150. But the sample might have been about as many as 60 hands. So, you know, if it was at minus 60 there, that's minus 150 BB. If it was up here, when at the 60 hand mark, then it could suggest a win rate of minus 33. Like, you don't really know. So I just left those hands out. So onto the suited hands. You'll start to see a trend here. This is, I know I don't have showdown lines on, but this is all kind of blue line, so that kind of implies that you can make a strong, basically value hand that's going to win at showdown, either in the form of flushes or good top pairs. That seems pretty convincing to me in terms of the shape. It's going to be kind of positive EV. Mid to high suited queens. So this was like King 8 suited through to King Queen suited. This is Queen 8 suited and better. Obviously significantly better than minus 100 BB 100. You know, down here it was performing worse, but just needed a better sample size to kind of level out. So any kind of shape around this region, small negative. You know, maybe I'm playing better now and maybe it's positive, who knows. But yeah, this is like minus 20, so just anywhere in that region is better than minus 100. Now, mid to low suited aces, I think this was ace jack suited to ace deuce suited. I think this is kind of to be expected, although you can make some big flushes. I think the ace, because aces are the most v-pipped hands in the game. Also, ace high boards are the most common types of board textures, because when the first two cards are a king high, there's still the chance that the third card can be an ace. So following that logic, ace high boards are the most common types, so you're going to run into kick problems the most, and I would sort of expect something like this. You know, you're calling a lot and then you're just going to fold or make a tough decision on the river. So I kind of can see why maybe the king and the queen ones are performing, or easier to play than maybe the ace high ones. But still, minus 500 over 700 is better than minus 100 BB per 100. You know, minus 100 would be here, but then again, at 600 hands, it was about the same as minus 100 BB 100. So maybe you can make an argument if you didn't want to deal with the variance for just not v-pipping them. But I think this is, if I play better, it should be a bit more positive. But yeah, so it's kind of borderline, but definitely should be played if that's somewhat correct. And it's kind of a decent sample. It's got a pretty steady shape to it. Then we have Jack X and 10X suited, which are about minus 60, I want to say. Yeah, about minus 60. Like, it's kind of a stable shape, but could be pretty erratic. Like, yeah, but I think it's kind of convincing. Like, even if I collated all of these together, they're all significantly above 100 BB 100, minus 100 BB 100. So they're all somewhat correct defense against these two positions. Obviously, we haven't taken into account the sizing they used, but just as a general trend. So yeah, this was like kind of 10-8, 10-7 suited and better, and Jack 7 suited and better. And then just some pocket pairs for comparison. So Jack suited 9s, obviously performing very well. They have very good inherent strength. they can obviously make sets, and yeah, they're going to speak for themselves. So they're also way ahead of, not way ahead, but they're kind of ahead of these two guys' ranges. So yeah, would I expect it to be this positive? Maybe not this positive, but I would definitely expect it to be positive. Now this is quite interesting. 8s down to 5s. I think a lot of the issue with this graph is it looks like I got Cwlrs for like set over set like 3 times in a very short space of time. So maybe it shouldn't be this negative, but you can tell by the very sharp downwards gradient that these are often having to be folded on the flop or on the turn. And like this is minus 100 BB 100, so, or minus 98 or something for EV. So yeah, it kind of implies they're kind of break even, you know, relative to just folding pre. But like I say, I think I got Cwlrs really badly around here. So even if it was somewhat break even but following the same kind of gradient, maybe it would be about minus 250, minus 300, which is minus 50-ish. So yeah, maybe some sample size issues here, and like, I don't know whether I made some 300 big blind deep bluff with like pocket 5s where you needed 5-6 for a straight or something, but yeah, just these hands aren't performing that great. They're not very playable and stuff. So yeah, all hands are possible as a defend. The only way you're going to know whether a hand is a plus EV defend or not, it's not even plus EV, you're not looking for plus EV, you're just looking for better EV than losing, okay, losing at this rate. That's your goal when you defend the big blind. Only experience, data, play style of your opponent is going to tell you whether it's plus EV or not. So obviously if the guy's very tight, then you're probably going to want to fold the more marginal ones. If he's loose but aggressive, maybe you don't want to. Maybe you want to call pre and just like continue if you make a strong hand. There's so many variables in play, but just from this data, kind of like big cards are good, and then suited cards seem to do pretty well, like most suited hands. Yeah, did I say that this was... Wait, where did I put the suited connectors? I did an extra graph. Oh yeah, the suited connectors are just on a separate... This is straight from HM2. This is, yeah, minus... This is minus 50 because this is about 600 hands. Yep, 600 hands. This is suited connectors. So they're minus 50, which is obviously good. This is also suited 1 gappers. So, yeah, 8-6 suited, 6-8 suited. I mean, sorry, 6-4 suited, stuff like that. So yeah, basically most suited hands seem to be fine to defend with versus these two positions, and then yeah, you'll kind of have to extrapolate the inferences we're making for these two positions. You know, king 9 off, king 8 off might be good against these two positions to defend, which it seems reasonable to me. Then even more suited hands against these two, like, I don't know, maybe not as wide as Jack Deuce suited, but kind of like Jack 5 suited and stuff, because the ranges do get significantly wider in these two positions, so you should be doing better against their ranges. You'll be more on an equal footing, so your hand should speak for itself, and yeah, making top pairs should be better more often with like a jack, you know, especially against the button, for example. So yeah, this doesn't tell you any data on multi-way pots. So for example here, 8s through to 5s, they might perform better 3 ways, because heads up you just always lose if you don't make a set, whereas you might have more implied multi-way. Yeah, so I'm just going to give a brief mention on 3-betting as well. So like, this is a fairly typical kind of borderline spot. You know, do you want to 3-bet these hands against these positions? And I'll look into it in my 3-bet video out of position, but if the EV of flatting is greater than the EV of 3-betting in these spots, then you just want to continue with the flats. Even though it's significantly plus EV to flat, you don't want to burn EV by playing a big pot out of position with a not very playable hand against a tighter range, which is performing better against you. So just because a hand has a really nice positive graph doesn't mean you should play it more aggressively. Just keep it like slow, play it low and slow, and just play it like that. So yeah, just also one more thing I found when I was doing my research for this was that I had a net better win rate in 2015 where I had a higher VPIP out of the big blind and a lower 3-bet percent. Basically implying defend wider, don't 3-bet as aggressively, and your win rate might improve, or should improve, net improved for me. Like the numbers were quite small, but because the sample size was so big, that kind of seemed significant, but maybe there was a difference in stake levels and stuff, so the skill level might have been different. So yeah, these are just things to consider. Obviously, in all of my videos, I'm never saying 100% what you should or shouldn't do, just trying to show you arguments for and against, different strategies and how to improve. But the reason the big blind is so interesting is that you're not trying to make plus EV plays, you're trying to make basically minus EV plays which are less bad than this. So just always remember this kind of graph and just try and make improvements on this loss rate. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed. This will be one of the shortest ones so far, which is good. And then the next video is going to be on 3-betting in position and then followed by 3-betting out of position. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you in the next one.